Story about a poor girl and rich boy. As I walked down the main street to town, he followed me. As I continued walking the 11 miles to the town square, he still followed me. At this point I knew Haynes would not give up, so I suddenly stopped, kicking the dirt road with my worn-out boots. I bent my head low, clasping my fingers behind my back in an innocent manner. "Haynes, 'tisn't any use, please Haynes. Don't make matters worse." I tried to sound brave, but as he reached out for me I gave in. All I could do was stand there, soberly clasping the hem of my limp cotton dress, trying to wipe away my tears. Bringing me into his arms, he softly and lovingly kissed me upon my lips, making me forget reality. Oh, how I loved him! But I could not look into his bright blues eyes, run my hands through his wheaten-colored hair and tell him that we should not be. However, it would be the right thing to do, as he was a rich boy whose parents thought of me only as filth and a thief's daughter. As he grazed his lips close to my ear he whispered, "Richella, I love you, I need you. You know I do." Yes, I knew he loved me. However, coming back to my senses, I gently, yet firmly pushed him away. Desire and confusion was apparent through the furrow in his forehead. However, his expression soon briskly turned to worrying as a coach approached from up the road. "Richella, I love you. I will find you someday," Hans exclaimed as two dark-hooded men pounced from the carriage and grabbed him. I quickly jumped the fence which separated the main road from the meadows, running away as fast as I could, not caring about getting soaked in the early morning dew which clung to the tall grass in the field. I shouted one last thing to my Haynes as I went. "I love you too. I shall never give up." 3 years have now passed since that day. I now live in the slums of town, making my living off of flowers which I pick from the meadow, and I survive mostly on bread and drinking murky water. I never have once stopped thinking about Haynes throughout these 3 long years. He, however, must have all of the wonders of life he wanted: masquerade balls, feasts with the rich and famous, and perhaps, by now, even a loving and beautiful wife. But I also know he would never break our promise, and would try and find me no matter what had become of either of us, no matter if we are fated to go our separate ways. I have faith that we will see each other again. How I wish it was soon. My desire is to see him one more time before we were old and forgetful of our time together. So, why should Haynes be the one to seek me out, putting a few things into my battered bag and throwing a dark green cloak around me, not allowing for any more time to be wasted? I was going out into the treacherous world to find Haynes. It is now 3 months later. I am now miles away from home and had no money or food. I have been robbed of almost everything except my clothes. At least I am still intact, and I am trying to keep to public places. It has been a horrid journey. I am always dirty, hungry and tired. But I kept on looking. A few days later, I feel as if I am ready to crawl under a rock and never wake up. There is nowhere dry to sleep. As I am no longer in the city, it is pouring rain, and the cobbled streets are turning into muddy roads. My clothing is now drenched in water, and my boots are slicked with slippery mud, having no place to shelter myself. There is no choice but to walk on. Suddenly, I see a darkened couch, coming closer towards me, bobbing and crashing along the road in and out of potholes. The couch was hard to see, except for the lanterns hanging off of it reflected its occasional shadow. But that shadow is so familiar, a memory has quickly flashed before my eyes as I stare frozen. In the eerie road, Richella, I love you, I will find you someday, haunts. I run in front of the coach, unthinkingly. I am so desperate for both love and survival. The coach halted with a quick movement, the horses bucking and neighing into the air. The coach swerved forward underneath the muddy ground in a flash, crumbling and crushing me underneath. I appeared to be laying in thick mud, all bruised and bleeding. There is an enormous amount of pressure on top of me. Oh God, the pain is excruciating. And then there is darkness, pure darkness, no pain anymore. Am I awake now? My head is dizzy. Could I be in heaven? I move off. No, there would be no pain in heaven. I look around, my eyes adjusting to a light and clean atmosphere. I am in no muddy main street. I am clean, laying in a down bed with an enormous duvet, in the most beautiful room I have ever seen. There are huge, sunlit windows with magnificent white curtains drawn apart, a floral set table, and I can't believe my eyes. Standing up from one of the floral chairs is a young man with a mixture of triumph and sorrow in his eyes. My lips now into a grand smile, my pain leaving me for a split second as he comes running towards me. I try to get out of bed, but am stopped by my lovely Haynes as he pulls me into his arms, holding me as though he would never let go, breaking into the most beautiful and luxurious kiss I ever even knew existed. I told you I would find you, he whispered quiet softly, tears of bittersweet sorrow tripping down both our faces. We are here, never leave me. I kept stuttering from my happiness. I have found him at last, or he has found me at last. We have found each other. Now it is a year later, and I have more than I have thought possible to want. The most magnificent wedding, manor, feasts and balls galore, and the very best of all, my loving Haynes, we now have reached a euphoria beyond happiness. As we now have each other. Subscribe the channel.